We're going to be talking about this presentation with our dear Teddy Mattson. So Teddy is owner and operator of Permaculture LLC. He consults and installs permaculture-inspired landscapes, stonework, and construction. He leads world-class work parties, presents his knowledge and expertise in such of these ventures, and he homesteads in Belfast, Maine. He shreds multiple instruments, and he elegantly integrates earth, wood, stone, and most importantly, metal into his practices. Okay. Welcome, Teddy Mattson, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Jesse. I feel like I'm on a difficult new stage. Thanks for attending my talk, and thanks for being here in general. This is a really awesome thing we're doing here. I took my first PDC right here 10 years ago. This is a cool anniversary for me. Yeah, I've been into permaculture since about 19, right freshman year in college. Just researching stuff, studying anthropology, figuring out how to live sustainably, and discovered permaculture. And I went, okay, I already figured it out 50 years ago, so that's great. 4 years ago at that point. So started building with the group a little bit at my parents' house. I thought that was like the coolest aspect of permaculture I've come across. And yeah, everywhere I lived, experimenting with growing food in what's previously been lawns and in big lots and other people's properties sometimes with permission. But yeah, study anthropology and sustainability, kind of focus everything towards permaculture to see like a really good convergence of those ideas. And working the grounds crew in college at USM, doing landscaping and like just construction too. My dad's an carpenter, so I grew up doing that. And yeah, I was always thinking about permaculture while doing this kind of conventional, boring, toxic landscaping stuff. And I did that through college for a few years after college. So I decided to take the PDC, and after I took it, I decided to quit my job and working for just different landscaping companies and started my business. Back then I called the Seed of Life Permaculture. That name is pretty ubiquitous for all kinds of different things, and I eventually got the nickname for it goes, so that's a great business name. And it's an acronym for Do It Right Together, Growers of All Things. So that's kind of my perspective on permaculture. It goes beyond just growing food and building things. It's a cultural creation process that we're all privileged and responsible for. So that's why I look at it. All of us get to do it every day. We get to change one thing at a time and integrate all these cool ideas into our permaculture life way. So we can work with design. I have a podcast, the same name, the Permaculture Podcast, where I rant on about these kinds of ideas. There's only 8 episodes on there. I'm really bad at computers and don't like them, so I got a bunch of the way really quick and haven't done it for a couple of years. But you can check it out. 8 episodes, kind of covering all the basics as far as I see it. And I have a YouTube channel too, walking around with my phone, talking about stuff I do and why and how. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. How I do things as a permaculture designer, landscaper, and homesteader. So specifically, how to build these different types of gardens that we read, learn about, hear about, kind of the nitty-gritty details in the process of what tool to start with, to do what, how to do things in an organized, efficient, effective manner to make things work and look good and establish a sustainable maintenance regime so you don't get discouraged when nature catches up with your attempts to redirect it, because nature never stops working. It's doing what it's going to do, and all we can hope to do is help align our intentions and actions to what nature's going to do. It's never going to stop naturing, so you got to figure out how to work with it. It's the whole ethos of permaculture. If nature says against it, take care of yourself and your family first, and then move out from there. a trailer, it's good for that. The A-frame that they right in front, so you measure contour, 2 sticks of equal length. You put a level between them, hold on the screws, just like the holes in the level kind of go on the screws. You calibrate it on a level surface so that when the level is on the 2 sticks, it reads level. So that when you go out to the field, you establish where you want to dig a swale or something on contour. Where you start, you put a flag, and then you move the other leg until it reads level, and you put another flag saying that you're on contour. And you adjust to be off contour to whatever degree you want and how you want to convey the water. That's the basic tool for finding contour, and that's a really important aspect of doing permaculture stuff, the efficient conveyance of water to slow sinking spray to the soil as opposed to causing erosion or evaporating or running off your property, causing damage or at least not being used. That's the frame I have. All the tools are with me today, and after the talk, we're going to go install one of these beds, a version of kind of hybrid of a few different techniques. So if you want to use this stuff and see how it works, we're going to do after. And there's, regular spade, manure fork, matic, it's just like a pitchfork with a broader head. It's good for it's like a human power tractor, so I call it. Kind of just chunks up soil with looseness so you can move it. There's weed whackers, gas cans, and I don't have my chains on there. They're not, they're power tools, but still use with your hands. Hard brake, soft brake, wheelbarrow. Those are some basic stuff. There's plenty more. There's a size in there, a lot bar. Lots of different tools to get proficient with. So the first technique I'm going to talk about is hugelkultur. A lot of people's favorite permaculture bed building technique is every my intro into permaculture sessions with hugelkultur. Seth Holzer got his book and just wanted to make rules all day, every day. Definitely made over 100, maybe it's 100 by now, but made a lot of hugelkultur beds and figured out how to make them better over time. So a pretty specific pattern. But that bed in the front there is a hugelkultur covered in squash and various other things. And there's another hugel right behind it. And that garden past it is plowed and it's dug into like raised rows. And this was a historic farm property in Freedom. And people there weren't, it's been hayfield forever. And they wanted to bring back some of the gardening stuff, so they, I kind of brought that area back. Yeah.
Is this an all available hands-on?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any heavy equipment. I can run an excavator and skid I don't have them. And to a certain scale, I really think I can. If a hugel bed, if a swale over exceeds like 100 feet, I would consider using a small excavator to do it. Or I have a BCS, or a walk my tractor with a rotary plow, which blasts soil to one direction, and that kind of edges out the beginning of the swale, and I'll finish it by hand. But yeah, everything in this presentation is hand done. That field was plowed with a tractor, so they did that before I showed up, and then I sculpted all the beds. So paths and made raised beds and stuff. But yeah, the hugel is just dug. I'll show you how now. Answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so these are chronological from left to right in how I do it. So tracing, soft blocking, soil removal. So the first picture, you see the shovel there in the ground. And then hopefully you make out those parallel lines establishing the perimeter of what I want to be. I laid that out basically on contour. There's another swale this way and another swale that way. And I chose to do a regular hugelkultur between these two swales because it's on a ridge. Swales are good at catching water and making it go on contour. And this hugel is right on a ridge where the water falls to either side. So I couldn't figure out which way to orient it so you can capture water best because it's kind of falling downhill on the side of it. So I figured that's a good spot for a regular hugelkultur. So that's what I did there, and I cut the outline of it. It's like, you can see the shape of it, it's serpentine, and it's 3 feet wide or so. So what I would do is put flags right down the middle where I want the middle of the bed to be, and then trace a line, a foot and a half from I come in and use the spade as a measurement, so I can one spade width from the perimeter to another parallel line to that, another spade width. So it's 3 or 4 spade widths wide. And there's all for a reason, we'll see eventually. So I have these parallel strips of spade width wide saw within this perimeter drawing outline of the pool bed. And then, after I got those parallel lines, I stand, in that outline I've made, walk backwards and cut perpendicular lines to those parallel lines and make solid blocks that are roughly, a spade width wide and as long as I feel like picking up. Not much longer than the length of the spade head too. So basically, the chunks of saw are the same size as the spade head. So I can manage it easily. So then I walk backwards, cutting perpendicular lines as I go. I take the saw and as far as I can reach with the shovel, place it outside the perimeter of the bed for a reason too, because it's going to get crowded eventually as I take the soil out. So I can pile the saw as far as I can reach without having to step out. And there's space far apart from each other too, because there's soil next and the soil piles between the saw piles. I realized that from not doing this and having a giant crowd with mixed up piles of all different levels and layers of material, which makes it sloppy, not as many pool bed. So this is all spaced out just so based on the length of my arms and the size of the tool and the width of the bed, they all kind of go together. So I take the saw piles, you can see them in that little picture, they're all spaced evenly. I dig out the loose soil with a flat shovel or a spade, doesn't matter, whatever, depending on the texture and compactness of the soil. The spade might cut through easier. It's nice and loose, the square shovel will get more soil out per scoop. So then I scoop all the loose soil out in between the saw piles, and that's what that big picture is. So that's only, it's one spade depth down now. Then I would take the mattock and walk forward through the thing, chop soil out, loosen it. The reason I walk forward is because even though you're walking on the soil and packing as you go, you see how you see where you've already dug. Because if you were to come backwards, you would drag the soil towards you and you would know where you already hit. So going forward, you know that you're chopping each piece and it's all going to be the same depth. See what I mean? So if you were to go backwards, you miss a lot of soil, and then when you scoop it out, it won't be flat. You'll only be different depths, and then your contour will mess up. So all these little details are important, and they make things be uniform and do what you want better. So after you get that second layer of soil out, the trench is a foot to 18 inches deep or so. The soil is loose, you want to have more wood in there, you might go deeper. There's all these different factors. Kind of just figure out each one at a time. But this one, I think, was a foot, maybe a little bit deeper. And all the wood there is old firewood that didn't make it. It got too wet or rotten or just was extra and old. So that's big chunky wood in there. There's all kinds of stuff you can put in the pool bed, depending on what you're going to run inside, what you want to get rid of, what's easy, what's around you. There's no exact recipe to really think you should put in like things that will grow back and become a crazy wild pool of, Rosa rugosa or willow or something that you don't want. So you want it to be dead, preferably because they're a lot quicker. And so if it's green, just make sure it's not a plant that will resprout from a stem, especially when putting things into the roots that are going to live easily. So dead is better, but if you do a green, heavy stuff, you want to put that at the bottom because it's the furthest from the soil. So as you go up in layers, you want to get smaller material and more rock. So as you get up to the soil level, you're going from rock and chunky to rock and soil as you go up in layers. So that first picture has got firewood in it. It's above grade, a little bit, down a little bit, but filled with trench and above grade. Then the next picture is smaller, more rotten wood. This is like all bark and rotten wood from splitting. So this is all firewood processing byproduct. So that next layer is all bark, rotten wood, sawdust, kind of stuff. And then the next layer is packing paper because we moved from Asheville, had you know, you're finding highest uses for stuff that otherwise would be trash or useless, or, you know, there's a hierarchy of uses for lots of stuff like this.
Are there any woods you want to stay away from? I know, like my black walnut sawdust, like killed all my grass.
Yeah, black walnut.
Cedar is really oily.
Yeah, some things being rot resistant, you might want to put in there. Yeah, black walnut has a jug bone in it, so that only certain plants want to grow near walnut. Yeah, so you do things that keep stuff from growing and things that want to grow themselves. Those are really things you want to avoid. Yeah. Softwood is really a problem. It might make the soil more acidic over time, but I've never really had a problem with making pools out of softwood growing whatever I want. But yeah, so we're moving up in height and down in density and thickness and increasing the smoothness as we go. So it's like chunky, filling in all the cracks with that like crumbly, barky stuff, and then like putting a membrane of paper on. So we're working our way up towards soil and more smoothness. After that, this is old horse manure that I get from someone who wants to get rid of it. Again, just another waste product. You know, it's an amendment for me. And so far, it's all garbage. This is a nice nitrogen influx. And once again, it makes it even smoother and prettier. And like that's gonna feed plants as they work their way through the soil as it goes. And then the next picture is all the sod blocks that I saved from the first step. You put those on upside down so the grass doesn't grow. Grass down. You start at the bottom. You build it up like bricks. So you go all the way around with one layer of sod and then the next tier. And you'll never have enough sod to cover the whole thing because it was the surface area of a flat plane and now you're a mound. So if you want to get enough sod to cover all the way up, what you can do is dig a trench around the hoop you've already started, which helps because then you can fill that trench with bushes and you have a more weed-resistant path. And it gathers more water at the base of the hoop when it rains. It falls in towards the hoop. So that's what I do. So that's got, you know, enough sod to cover it. Then after you put the sod on, then you scoop all the soil on. That way they're distinct piles and work mixed together, so you keep your layers nice and separate, so you don't accidentally throw a bunch of sod. Because the sod is face down and die. Soil is facing up, and you're facing the loose soil. So to that, and the last three stages, finished compost. Can't really see in the shade, but that's, you know, finished compost on the soil. And all that mulch is the grass that I weed whacked to clear that spot. So another, you know, just using, you know, I tore it really close so I could, you know, not deal with a bunch of floppy grass everywhere. And I just breathed it in. It was right off to the side and dried out. And the time it took for me to build all this, and now it's like this nice, fluffy, fine mulch, and then water that down to get it from flying away. You don't have like wooden baffles, like long straight sticks with little wooden pins that you make out of, you know, crotches of trees. You hammer that in, hold the mulch down, and also creates a shelf. When you plant plants, they can kind of lean on this branch, and it also creates like a little shelf for the water to collect, so the water stuff doesn't drain outside. If you want your really fancy, you can even just like break the soil and make a tiny little terrace shelf on that piece of wood, plant plants on it, so it's kind of like terracing within a pool. I didn't do that, but I had. And then the last picture is just 4 plants, planted garlic and onions on there, and also just sprinkled old seeds, and arugula, radish, and peas took. So it's kind of a mixed random polyculture. I did have to pull, and I let lamb sorter go for a while too. I made pesto out of the garlic scapes, lamb sorter, arugula, and radish greens, and made pesto. I don't think that's what I used, but I did bring some pesto potatoes for dinner. But so, you know, planting things that all go with meals is kind of fun like that too. Yeah, so that's the finished product, and I made that last year. This is its first year of growth, and it shrinks over the winter. Everything compacts, and as things rot, it'll continue to shrink. And in like 5 years, it'll be much smaller. In 10 years, it'll basically be at ground level again. And then really thick, loose, dense soil, like 3 feet down, that everything just sinks and rots and like conditions the soil. So this is a pretty long-term wood core kind of composting system. The way I like to think about Google is it's a landscape cleanup, maintenance, long-term nutrient organizing garden building thing. And if you do that every year, like prune trees, firewood waste, even weeding, like I've done like spring and fall cleanup of like people's properties, gathered all the stuff and put it in the pool. You know, you could either put it in the compost pile, you have all this weed material. It's a really good way to just use all your landscape waste in an organized, intentional, neat way that'll like improve from then on. So eventually, your whole property can be poolified 1 year, 1 season at a time. So that's kind of how I approach rural. Yeah.
Yeah, for this example, like how long is that, and how long did it take you to create this one?
It's probably like 30 feet long, 30 feet by 3 feet. The trench, by the time it's done, it's more 5 feet wide because the layers kind of extend beyond the trench. And it took me, it took a week, but not all day, every day. Like I picked away at it over the course of the week. So probably like 12 hours. 12 hours of handwork. But you know, I've done this a million times and I'm efficient and proficient, you know. My early Google probably took longer, looked worse, and didn't do as well. So this is, yeah. I'd say about 12 years. So it's a lot of work, but a machine would do this really fast, probably pretty sloppy, not look very good, grow a bunch of stuff like grass and everything they put in there on accident. And, you know, it still work, but this is kind of just a refined way of doing it that I've just developed myself. Trying to help you guys learn and inspire you to try it too. The next thing is swales. I'm sure everyone's heard of swales and saving swales. Kind of cliche, not cliche, it's not fair, but just like the typical permaculture thing. Again, like agriculture, I love digging swales too. This is a place in Camden. This guy just wanted his backyard to not mow so much. A lot of my brothers are like, I don't want to mow anymore. You know, what should we do? Like this. And also it's really dry. Like the water all goes here, and the rest of it's dry. So the way I laid this out, I was like, the first swale is going to start where your water appears on this slope. This is kind of based on keyline design, where you find where the water collects on a slope, and you draw it laterally out to a ridge where it's dry, because it's originating, even though it's high slopes in the valleys and the pockets where water is collecting, you bring water from valleys to ridges. That's kind of the key line in a nutshell. And then I always serpentine them back and forth. So one is pitched slightly down that way. It gets to the end. If there was like a huge rain, it usually like saturated, you can see the water fill the first one, overflow far end, come down this one, overflow at this end. Or maybe I went the other way. Yeah, it goes the other way because this one overflows into nothing. So it goes this way, then that way, and this way, and that way. That's how I often do swales in succession. They serpentine, pitching slightly this way, pitching slightly that way, because they all break into each other. So they all go the same way, all the water's going to end up on one side, and rather than wet downhill, you know, so. Anyways, yeah, so we planted some fruit trees and flowers and stuff on there. And I have pictures of them done later, but I let the guy do it himself. He didn't want me to, you know, do all the planting. He wanted to do it himself. And these are just some more examples of swales and what to do. That first picture is kind of fuzzy, but that's just showing the sod. At least in Asheville, North Carolina, so that orange stuff is the soil. It's the sod inverted, so just showing that step. You know, you cut the sod blocks and you flip them directly downhill from the trench. So you're basically making like a photo negative of the trench. You dig the trench and the sod just puts exactly downhill from where it came out. So you have like this mirror image, which is a depression and a mound, being mirror images of each other. So that's generally how you do a swale. By hand, all the sod is facing down, so it won't grow up. The machine, you'll rip stuff, it'll curl around, it'll flip over. Half of it has to be facing up, half to be facing down. And if you don't cover it with a lot of mulch and compost, you'll grow a ton of grass. So doing it by hand like this, it can be very precise, the grass is gonna grow, and everything is uniform depth and clean lines. So this is the advantage of doing things by hand at a human scale. It's much neater and precise and, just smaller scale. The second picture shows the water flowing that swale. Also kind of hazy. Most of my pictures are hazy because it's hot, sweaty, condensation, whatever. But it's, you might notice the water's draining to this side, so in the serpentine process, the next swale will begin closer to us in the picture, and it'll convey the water back the other way. This third picture is a rain barrel, which, everyone, hears that when they learn our permaculture, then they hear the horror stories of them overflowing and flooding the basement and undercutting the foundation and everything. So this is on our house under Nashville, capturing the rainwater, but I make sure to have a bigger outflow of that piece of plumbing than the inflow from the gutter, so that when the water does fill and it's rushing in, it can get out faster than it goes in, so it won't overflow and just fall down the foundation. That's going into a PVC pipe, and that is going directly into that swale right next to it, that stretch of yellow wood chips being the path of the swale. So that's going to go into the backyard, into a series of serpentine swales to pass it to irrigate the food forest in there. So every time it rains, all the trees are getting direct rainwater off the roof. These trees, everything goes super fast down there, but they were like 10 feet in a year, just getting blasted with water. And every time I plant the trees on the swales, they grow twice as fast as not. They're just getting a direct water influx. That's what swales are for, essentially, is tree growing systems. But what I do is, while the trees are growing, I plant vegetables and herbs and water in between them, just to use up that space. Otherwise, like I said, the nature's going to do its thing, the weeds are going to come back, the grass is going to come back, so you might as well plant something you'd rather have there. For the meantime, until the trees grow up and cast shade, and you can introduce your field plants right away. But I'm primarily interested in growing a lot of human food immediately. Most people eat annuals, for better or worse, they all eat fruits and vegetables. It's good to eat nuts and other perennial stuff, but that's majority what we eat still. Normal annual crops. So I like to plant as much food as I can in my tree systems, at least early on. Here's another little example of swale-like earthworks. This was at that same property where the water, there's a little creek behind our property, and all this brush and trash the neighbors threw down behind their house caused like a little dam and diverted the creek into our yard. So this big erosion problem, like right down. See that green on the edge there, that's the end of our food forest, and I stopped it so we could deal with this erosion problem. So I didn't want them to absorb the water and have the backflow and get back to the house. So I stopped there and I made this serpentine sheet mulch there for a long time, so the soil got really nice. Like that's the compost, there's compost added to it, but had cardboard wood chips and Kingster fairy mushrooms grown in there, making that rapid compost. So we improved the soil, and the wood chips kind of helped reduce the erosion at first while. But then I dug this serpentine path to intercept the water and make it flow back and forth on its way down, because it's going to head down no matter what eventually. So we might as well make it passively irrigate, slow it down, and fill the trenches with cardboard wood chips, and then top it with rocks to hold all that down. So I just had like a big pile of wood chips at the very end. That worked pretty good. I did this kind of serpentine erosion control swale-esque thing for a lot of people's properties. Because in that area, everyone's on a hill, big rains just like send mud into the stream, into the rivers. Every rain, everything just turns chocolate mud colored. So this was an attempt to like hold the soil, slow the water down, pass the irrigate all those things all at once. So yeah, all the serpentine design with managing water works really good. Along the lines of managing water, you can do, small scale little ponds or rain gardens. This first picture here and the second picture, this was a part of the person's property where the neighbor's roof sent a lot of water right into their backyard, and it was like waterlogged. So I existing ditch along that edge. So, they get all this free irrigation, turning the water problem into an irrigation solution. And so that little one, the second picture, just goes to a drainage trench that was already there, but had grown in that creek that we had filled it with crushed stone. Didn't want to mow it anymore, so it's just brings it back to a different creek. And the third picture, those are two little hand-dug ponds that did at my house. There's this wet hill that I've had a few other river ponds dug with machines, where it's the wettest and highest to collect that water up high so gravity irrigate with it. And then all the rest of the hill going all the way down to the greenhouse, and then these little ponds. I basically take them where there's a collection of water again. So where it's wet, the water's gonna fill there, be a pond there, and then do overflow swales that go, close-ish contour until it gets to another wet spot, to another pond, make another hole, and then it drains to the next. So you, again, whittling your way down the hill, serpentining from one wet spot to another as you turn into a pond. And then every swale is a planting bed, the banks of the ponds you can plant, and they're built the same way. You take the outline, take a big circle, do parallel circles, concentric circles, and you start from the middle and flat them out to the side, upside down, creating the foundation of the beds you want, which are the banks of the pond. The other side out, fill this well, round it up. And then you just make the outflow, you don't put a soft there. That's how you direct where the water is going to leave the pond. And it leaves the pond into a swale, which brings it to the next pond. So, the same process as doing a swale, except you do a pond in between them where it's wet, and it works pretty good. I haven't really cultivated these ponds yet. I have many other higher priority growing spots, so they've gone wild, but when the water still fills every time it rains, and instead of the water just flowing down the hill, going into other people's foundations, like our neighbor all flooding basements, and at least trying to capture it, slow it down, do something. I do plant a bunch of hazelnuts and other plants on some of these pond swale systems, and they seem to be doing good, but I haven't done any annual production. It's just a lower priority area, but eventually that whole hillside is going to fill with a little pond and experiment with upland rice, which, it doesn't need flood irrigation, it's wet soil, so I'm going to try to grow some more stable carbohydrate produce in those. Any questions on ponds or little ponds, rain gardens? Yeah?
So I have little ponds in my, small acreage.
Yeah.
Not that much to do with mosquitoes. So do you, make one food?
No, I don't care with them. It's hard to work in the house where I don't think they make any more mosquitoes that we would notice. Actually, my main garden is closer to a creek where the mosquitoes really do come out. Basically, what you do about mosquitoes if you're not going to air them is plant along the banks so they cast shade. So frogs will want to live there more and eat mosquitoes, and the plants will have oxygenated water, just making the conditions less conducive to mosquitoes, but adding more biodiversity. That's basically the best long-term, easy approach. If you have a solar pump and you want to line them and put little area pumps in there, that works fine too. Just more of a hands-off kind of bad, but that definitely works too. Aeration.
So you did not line this with anything?
No, so they fill and drain, they dry up. But the bigger ones, that I think have ever really dried up in summer, or at least some in a while, is it really close somewhere else so it doesn't hold it? It's not necessarily for a real, I'm not relying on them for irrigation. I do use it all, but they're 5-gallon buckets in the water greenhouse. But I also have a horse trough that I fill with water. I have those agricultural water cube things that kind of go under little buildings and roofs and like roof water. Outdoor kitchen kind of have roofs that go to those next to cisterns, sheds. They want to plan for little buildings and little roofed pseudo buildings to capture rainwater. But it's more of a passive irrigation thing. So it rains, overflows, saturates the swales, just keeps things generally moist. Yeah, no liners. I don't use plastic for anything other than like seedling cells, even that way. I make lots of boxes out of caterpillar soil blocks. I try to avoid plastic. I just think it's gross and it's very useful, but it's gross and breaks down and gets in the water and gets in our bodies. And it's just,
But not even rocks or anything. I was thinking putting rocks in, but.
the guy with the excavator did put some big rocks in the biggest pond for like little islands and a diving spot. But this pond that I have here is very shallow. Like, I'm gonna dig deep. That's like the sod is removed, the little roots, first layer of root soil is removed, but I'm probably gonna get deeper, knee high, like when it's dry, I'll get another layer down. But yeah, they're pretty shallow. But I have like 20 of them on the hillside. And you just have to go down to the water and just saturate the soil as opposed to running down. So it's a work in progress. I'm going to be building these little mini swamp ponds here for the next decade. So okay. So moving away from contour-based active water management gardens, this is more aesthetically based. Mandala gardens. I mean, mandala gardens can definitely be used to hold water, especially like Kegel gardens. You've probably seen those, like Toya and others. But the mandala garden idea is mostly about aesthetics and enjoyment of being able to move around, get to every bed from all directions, be able to move through a garden nicely. More edge space, instead of straight lines that are like equal sized bed and path, these have longer edges because they're curved. So there's technically more growing space in a system like this than parallel rows. Parallel rows have advantages of ease of movement and uses of tools and harvesting. They're probably better for like real, market garden or small farm production, but this is somebody's yard that they let me turn some grass into a garden. It's kind of a neighborhood community garden. And so she was a Lakota native, and they have medicine wheels in their culture. And so this is aligned to the cardinal directions. And initially when I did it, each north, south, east, west has this corollary colors, which represent different seasons and represent different natural forces. So I kind of color-coded certain crops in there. So tomatoes and radishes in the north for the red, symbolizing, I can't remember, fire. There's many layers to the meaning in it, but that was the inspiration for this design. It's a medicine wheel garden, like a compass. And there's 24 beds in there, I think. So it's like the main directions and then the interspatial directions. And then the ones even between those longer beds on the edges are in between those two. So it's many degrees of direction. So that first picture is just like it's built, some stuff's growing. The second picture obviously is later, it sees lots of growth. I don't know if you can really see the third picture, but someone let me borrow their drone, and that's from 100 feet up or something, just trying to see how it looks for full view. Wait, but this, okay, that's next man. How I work about building these.
What did you use in the pathways?
Cardboard bushes. Yeah, I use cardboard bushes for most pads. I know not everyone's into using cardboard, ink and glue and stuff like that. I try to find the cleanest cardboard. Take all the tape and stickers off. Don't use glossy or colorful stuff. I just feel like it's probably, it's at least as good of a use as recycling, making more boxes, I think. My Celia really likes cardboard. Get into those corrugated channels really good. Worms love cardboard. Put down cardboard for a few months, lift it up, and get out and run with it. So I feel like it's a net benefit in gardening if it's not nasty. So yeah, cardboard wood chips in all my paths, basically. So this picture, you see a stake. There's a bunch of stakes where I found north, and I found the extremities of the whole garden. I did a big square first. And I was like, okay, here's the northern point, southern point, eastern point, western point. And then I did the points between them. And basically, that was just like establishing all the orientation. And then you can see the second picture, there's a center stake with a circle, and I did like arrows pointing to the directions and the directions between them to establish the pattern. And I based all the other beds off of that, so then the arrow is pointing in from those ones pointing out. You can see in the next picture. So that's the first like 16 beds, and then I did the next 8 beds connecting the points of the outward pointing arrows. And I did some more of these perimeter beds too later on, but that's so to do that though, I did the same thing as building swale rural cultures, which are linear on contour parallel lines, but now we have triangles. So I had to basically, you can see in the third picture, there's straight line paths in between all the pizza slice arrow shapes. So I did the same thing. I said, okay, stake here to here, and it's defining the edges of all these beds, but it's also just a straight line path. So I do that straight line path, flipping the saw directly to the outside of the path, go to the next one, do the same thing. It's like a spoke to the wheel kind of thing, and that made the basic outline of all these triangles just by making straight lines. So that's how you apply that whole saw flipping process of the other techniques to different shapes. You have to think about making paths, and the paths make the beds. So, yeah.
Are the beds slightly raised or they the same height as the paths?
They're raised.
They are raised, and then do they tend to slough off into the paths, or?
They do, but the paths are filled with carbon, which is back up to grade.
Okay.
So the beds are the thickness of a block of sod, plus the soil under the sod, plus some compost and mulch. So they're, 1.5 feet thick, some of it being grass at the very bottom, and then some hard packed soil, and then some loose soil, some compost and some mulch. So you can plant them right away. There's only really 6 or 8 inches of nice loose stuff the first year. But I do take a broadfork them all, just to rip the sod, both what's facing down and the living sod, just to like aerate and loosen it up a little bit, just to get that decomposition process jump started. But you can plant stuff right away. Some things do better than others. So carrots aren't going to do great that first year because they hit hard at about 8 inches of that each year. But all the greens, onions, garlic, peppers, tomatoes, anything without really long tap roots is going to be fine in that first year. Especially more compost you put on top, the better everything's going to do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, they're when you're walking around in them and the paths are filled, they're shin high. They're not that tall. I mean, when the path isn't filled, they seem very raised because there's another foot going down. So if you're like in the trench before it's filled in, like above your knee, you fill in the trench, and it's like shin. So, yeah.
Are the paths just 2 shovel widths?
Yeah, 2 or 3. I think it depends. In this thing, it looks about 2. Yeah, probably one solid block, one each trench. And that can vary. On thicker paths, you do 3. I do it in increments of spade width, just very uniform. And so yeah, 2, 3, 4 spade widths, depending on a wide path you want. I find it was a pretty good balance. Like I never felt too crowded in there, and I felt like I was wasting too much space with paths. So, but sometimes people want really wide paths, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm just thinking different techniques, and for you, what compels you to dig out the soil rather than like sheet mulch everything to start?
Yeah, I do sheet mulching too. I'm going to talk about that later. But the reason I like to do digging like this is sometimes it's if you're going to sheet mulch that whole area, it's just like it might even be the same amount of material, but it's maybe different amounts of different materials. I don't know. I like the structure of building up something with what's there and then adding. But there's no reason it's not any better than sheet mulching either. It's different amounts of labor and materials, but I think it's a wash either way.
Right, yeah, I'm just thinking of like various techniques to achieve something.
Yeah, you can do it either way. If you don't like to dig a lot, I wouldn't do it this way. But if you don't want to gather like 50 yards of material, do it this way. You're using what's there a little bit more. And it can convey water. If like this design isn't very contour, for all the water is kind of just draining to one corner. Like you would kind of go around, but it all kind of come to one corner. But if you were more lateral, digging them would hold a little bit more water than a sheet just because there's a depression for the water to get into. So, yeah.
I've done something like this, but since I dug it out, I Googled it, and then I put it back in, and it was more like a raised bed.
So you Google,
I dug out the hole, I put wood in,
Yeah.
and then I put the rest on, and so it was, for open floor, it's better, it's kind of slightly raised bed, so it was,
yeah, so you do like a bunch of little Googles all near each other. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Google's my first love in permaculture, and then I got into soils and bees, so it's kind of a progression of interest, and I think they all have their best time and place, you know, like I'm not a favorite, I don't favor any of these techniques more than the other, but they work better for different circumstances and your different proclivities of how you like to work, what materials you got, what tools you got. Yeah, and then later I'm going to show you how to combine multiple different techniques together. So, like this one is inverted solid, non-contour, and sheet mulch in the sense that the whole pad are cardboard wood chips. You know, I'm not going to do like a fancy, super duper many layer sheet mulch hardware. Just because I find it inconvenient to source a lot of different materials. I kind of like to use like what's there, the sod is there. I can find wood chips pretty good. You know, I make compost, I buy compost, cardboard, dumpsters everywhere. So I try to use what's abundant. You know, not go searching for stuff that I don't know where it is. So next, terraces, raised beds, basically making flat areas on sloped areas. So more intensive, way more digging, heavier, more materials, but turning a once eroding, potentially, this one definitely eroding, situation into a much more stable, accessible, useful, and aesthetic landscape feature. So you can see the first picture. Just basically sheer walls, not exactly vertical, but pretty straight up and down to, you know, establish where the foundation can begin. And I dig down a little bit, so you want the foundation to be slightly underground. And put crushed stone in there, and the first layer of stones, which, like I said, want to be just a little bit, just a little bit underground, so the back pressure from the water, soil, they're not going to slide. And all these stones were salvaged from construction sites in the area, new housing, just asking the builders, possibly excavate for replacement where they found rock, soil, in this neighborhood where I was living, you know, you probably got 50 truckloads of rocks from construction sites that do stone projects like this. So the second picture is just showing the courses going up, you know, building up to that first back cut. So that establishes the height of the terrace. Where you first dig down is going to be where your terrace backs up to. And that third picture is showing it getting close to there. Fourth picture is showing it there. Next to the steps there, kind of just showing, you know, this. It's not as tall as eye level, but I took the picture from eye level just to show across the top. It's probably waist level, it's still pretty tall. And then the next picture showing two in succession of compost, and the third one. The first terrace I built here, it was a railroad ties, it all like creosote, nasty wood that was rotting, so I tore those out and rebuilt a wooden one first, because that's how the first one was, and they liked it, so that's just pressure treated wood held together with rebar and big screws and stuff. And then the next two I did in stone because okay, I have this free stone, you know, I like stone more than pressure treated wood. So yeah. So they planted flowers and raspberries and other stuff on that. What was, you know, originally just a big muddy water trench, just water coming down the hill and for the foundation, you know. It's like everything I did in Nashville was like, don't flood the basement, stop any mudslides, grow something on this slope here. So terraces, one of my favorite things to do. I love doing stone work. It's what I do more and more, and this is very satisfying. I can get into like more detail about how to do stone masonry, but yeah.
Yeah, do you start at the bottom and work your way up? Or
Yeah.
you start at the top and work your way down?
Bottom up, because man, I suppose it's possible with the top down, but from the bottom up makes more sense to me because you make an initial cut and establish grade from like the ground before it starts sloping, that's where you start. You know, it's like a triangle, you cut it straight, and then the wall makes it square again. And then the top of the first, like I said, the top of the first terrace is the bottom of the next one. So you cut, you just repeat the process, and the foundation of the second terrace lays on the back of the top of the first terrace, so you kind of step your way up. And with stone terraces, you often wind up with more soil than you can reuse because you're filling up so much more space with stone. So it's good to have a plan for what to do with extra soil, which I often encourage to put into stone freestanding raised beds on flat ground, so that you have more cool stone garden stuff to do. So I think that's the next one. So it kind of leads into the next. Oh, never mind. Goat paths is a quick aside. They're basically micro terraces on very steep slopes. These pictures are a little squished, so it looks steeper than it is, but it's still super steep. So this was a very eroding hillside house built on a mountain, you know, crazy natural development style. So first picture, you might not be able to see it, but there's stakes all across that slope, measuring contour or serpentine key line type contour back and forth to establish it. Okay, this is where the water's coming in, creating the erosion event. I want to redirect it slightly down, go this way, turn around, slightly down that way, so all the way downhill. So the second picture shows a couple goat paths. That's just what I call, you know, dirt goat permaculture. And goats do that too. Like they love being on really steep areas and like climbing across with like nothing to step on, making these little paths. So the way to do these, same kind of thing. You're following those flags that are stakes that you set on contour, digging the sod out. With these steep slopes, they give like an army of 5-gallon buckets, or like 25-gallon buckets, and then putting the soil in them after I make this cut in the slope. And it's got to pitch backwards too, a little bit, because if it's flat, it'll just start rounding and eroding again. So it's got to be shoved back a little bit. And then you take the tamper and tamp it and pack the hell out of it. And then, since you have all the extra soil, if you don't have something to do with that extra soil, you have to add it back. So you add it back to that one layer at a time, really compacting it. So you're using the same soil that's been there, you're just reshaping it to be a shelf. And then you armor all that with cardboard wood chips, mycelium grow there, so it like stitches the soil and wood chips back together so it's not the bare soil. And then the areas even between the paths, she mulch that too. Cardboard wood chips, and that's again where you use those wooden baffles. You hold the cardboard down with these sticks tied to stakes, holding it, wood chips, and then you add compost along the stakes again, with tiny little mini shelves between the terraces on these slopes. This is like the most labor-intensive, craziest, hardest, least enjoyable version of all this stuff. But everyone had a roomy hillside that they wanted stuff to do. They wanted to be able to eat it. They wanted to be able to plant flowers and get to the shrubs. So this is the only way to walk across a crazy eroding slope to do anything that I could figure out and seem to work. Like I did for a few people, and they told their friends and neighbors, and everyone in the neighborhood was getting goat paths. So yeah, it is kind of crazy, but it worked. And it, oh yeah, the other thing, you add those wooden baffles right on the edge of the path too, to kind of bolster it. Pound those 18-inch wooden stakes in the ground, so only stick up a few inches. While the sticks along, time on, they're just creating like this little edge that holds everything together. It's a lot of pinning and tying of things down. That picture, yeah, I was working these for the night because I was about to fly back up to Maine next morning. I was like, I have to finish this, and I'm working in for a week. So you can't really see it, but, you know, it works.
So is holding parallel to the landscape, or are they angled?
They're angled slightly, yeah, just so the water goes back and forth all along the side. Or even if this was all perfectly on contour, it would just, the water would stay on those things and it would eventually spill over somewhere. Somewhere where cables don't get loose. So they do serpentine, so gently goes walk down one, down the other, and drain straight back to where the goal goes.
Is it connected at one end?
No, it just kind of dribbles down for a few feet to the next one. Yeah. Alright, now it's stone raised beds. So that first one is one I recently did for a long time, climbing in Sears Pond. Those were, where did those ones come from? I think they were just, yeah, again, a house that really renovated, old farmhouse, got rebuilt, had a stone wall between their house and the other property. They didn't want us taking these stones. They're like, we want a hedge, we don't need these stones, just get them out of here, take them for free. So I am reversing unlined stones, making dry stone, that means there's no border. Field stone raised beds. She had wooden raised beds, you know, like waist high, really tall, so it's like several tons of soil, and the wood rots, and the board bow is bust out, and, you know, by the when I was in Nashville, she had all these things made. Last time I came back, they were all falling apart. She's like, rebuild all these wooden raised beds in stone. So that's what I've been doing for a little bit, and it's really rewarding. She's super happy with it. The thing about dry stone is when water in it, so there's airspace, so the water can penetrate the soil and leak out through the stones. So with water, it gets trapped in there and causes blowouts. I mean, not that all water stone work is inferior. You can do it right where you have plants drainage, you have like little pipes in there that the water goes to. But if you don't do that, you can trap water and ice in there and it'll like blow out the wall. And dry stone can fail too if it's not tight. If there's dirt in there, you know, I'm no stone mason master, but I don't do mortar. I like not dealing with mortar. Dry stone's way more fun. I think it looks better. I think it works better. So yeah, that's kind of a different discussion of how to do stone masonry. Maybe at the end, if you have time, everyone wants to learn more about it, I can talk about it. But it's basically about leaving things in staggering joints in rocks don't have parallel lines going up because they're not gripping each other, they can tip over. But we can talk about that more later if you want. The next picture is the quintessential, kind of got cut out, but quintessential herb spiral, did in Nashville too. There's two different ways to do herb spirals. The way this one's done is just there's a mound of composting soil that I collected, and I just built a little stone spiral up it. And basically the idea is herb spirals, they create like little microclimates on a mound. The top is hot, dry, the bottom is low and moist, and especially on the north side, so you can put things that like cool shade at the bottom, things that like dry heat at the top, never between the other stuff. So yeah, I put that with a bunch of different herbs. None of these pictures have a lot of plants in them. For one, I'm just trying to show like this is about how to do earthworks, not necessarily how to grow plants, but it's kind of a specialty too. I like to build stuff for people, and if they don't, you know, they want me to, I'll select or help them choose and plant everything. But a lot of people like to just do the planting, maybe with a few suggestions. But I like to mostly do the building of things for people to then, because you can't, but it's not ideal to have someone do permaculture for you for the rest of your life. You know, it's about helping them learn, make decisions, create the infrastructure, get going, but you know, you gotta do it yourself or do it together, ideally, you know. Do it right together, grow the whole things. So yeah. I'm not interested in being a permanent garden caretaker for people. You know, that's a lot about landscaping work. You just permanently take care of everything seasonally all the time. It's really monotonous, pointless feeling. So I like to try to set people up for success and then let them do it and then ask for help when they need a hand. The third version is another stone raised bed. These are like prefab stones. Held together with landscaping adhesive, like I have a caulking gun. Not my favorite thing, but I was working with another permaculture guy down there who wanted help. We did a few projects together, and I was one of them. So that's a cool one too. That's a raised tool. So yeah, like 6 courses of this fake stone with wood up to within like a foot of the top, and then cardboard and compost, and soil and stuff, and mulch. And yeah, clients, that's what they wanted, they liked it. That's what we did.
What did you, the concentric one, is that just stones piled up with the soil between?
Yeah, so it has a mound of soil, and I just shaped it to like a dome, and then started at the bottom and just like nestle rocks into it. So that's one way to do it. A more intensive way to do it would be to build a stone spiral first, which would require more skill and time and like planning, which is cool. Like to make a stone spiral structure is pretty cool, then you fill it with soil. This is the way quicker, easier, less intensive, draws stone that came out of the ground in building this garden. So, yeah. Yeah, I've never built a earth spiral stone structure first and build in. It has to be kind of big, because like you need stones to like back up other stones. Unless you have the right size and shape and uniform stone. So now we're getting to the sheet mulch. We're done digging and doing intensive movement of heavy things instead of doing a gajillion wheelbarrow rolls and a lighter stuff. Which is fun too. It made sense at this property because it's fairly flat. There wasn't much water to convey anywhere. There wasn't like wet spots, dry spots, kind of a uniform, flat, square postcard area. And this, we did a permanent blitz. I call it permanent blast because we're having a blast, it happens really fast, and metal edition, and blast beats like the drumming thing. So my permanent blast work party thing, 18 people came to this and laid down, I think, 6 trailers of material in about 6 hours, and did like 80% of that garden in a day. And what we did that, just established the perimeter flags and laid down overlapping layers of cardboard on this whole thing. After we sewed them, like, had a big plastic wheelbarrow filled with water, and each sheet of cardboard got submerged in there, so it went all the way through, so we put it down. The wind won't blow it away, and you're keeping the whole thing wet from the very get-go. It works better than putting cardboard down, spraying with a hose, because all it has is like runs off the surface, so submerging it really helps. And then we put down a layer, probably 6-inch layer of leaves, gathered from the neighborhood, from everyone's leaf, just fall cleanup stuff. So then I laid out flags defining the beds, rows of paths. It's kind of the same thing. Flags, you're looking at either the shape of the path or the shape of the bed. And these beds are, except for the first 2, they're continuous. So it kind of looks like a butterfly or a tree. Not exactly sure, some sort of organic looking thing there. It's not on contour, but the beds are somewhat lateral, so they do hold some water. So the flags define where to put wood chips for paths and where to put compost for beds. So that's about, my sheet mulching doesn't get much more involved with that. And after the compost, mulch on top, I brought in some old rotting hay to mulch the beds with. And then she mulches it with leaves every year too. And that's a picture from yesterday, in that garden in full growth. This is in Belfast. If everyone knows where the Waterfall Art Center is in Belfast. This is right before that, heading into town, like 2 houses before it. It's a little free garden, what she calls it, because the little free libraries. She has one of those. She has a little free deck, like in the shade, where she'll open to like sit there and have a drink or whatever. Those lady Jane is really just sharing her property with the community. And she saw a flyer that I put up a couple of winters ago. This is all part of an effort of a thing I'm calling the Belfast Yard Farm Connection, trying to turn lawns into food gardens, either to be free, public, community gardens like this. Like this is all completely walk in and harvest stuff, leave something if you want, write a little note kind of garden, like not, no contracts, no fee, no plots, just go in there and pick what you want and be respectful. So that's her model, which I really like. I like no rules, no obligations, no contract, no whatever, just be cool, harvest something. And then we have, a yearly cleanup party. So once this is all done, we'll take out all the dead plants and we build some compost, some pallet compost bins in the backyard. We make a new pile every year, flip it over to the other side, and take from the second one and put it back in the garden next year. So it's working really good. Belfast, go check out the little free garden and harvest some stuff and write the book and encourage other people to turn their lawns into free public food gardens. Because if you're not playing a game on your lawn or playing with your dog or something, it's kind of just a waste of everything, I think. So more gardens, less lawns, something I'm trying to do. So lastly, we have a few examples of hybrid systems incorporating a lot of these things together. This first one is a big sort of stone terrace yard conversions that you did not want to mow. That's often what people don't want to mow anymore. So at this slope, it was wet at the bottom and dry at the top. So I laid out these key line, contour lines. You can actually see it this one. It's probably more dramatic than others, but at the top, the water flows that way, and it comes around the corner, goes this way and that way. So it's sort of like a key line, serpentine swale is one aspect of it. The other aspect is there's broad, flat beds. There's just like a terrace, and then they're fronted with stones, making it a stone terrace. There's no rule element to this, but all the pads around it, between them, are sheet mulch, cardboard wood chips, and then pea gravel and stepping stones. So there's some hardscaping in there too. And that was one of the biggest hands-done projects, like a lot of solid blocks. It's all the same process too, like I cut the solid blocks, making the shape of the path, that serpentine all the way down, and then all the solid blocks turned into the inverted, turned into the foundation of the terrace, scoop the soil out, add the compost mulch, fill the path with cardboard wood chips, except for the path where the hardscaping is. So it's all the same kind of process when it comes to digging. Obviously, sheet mulching is its own component, but like from swales to hoovers to terraces to some degree, they're all kind of the same idea. Terraces don't be all the same dirt because you get rid of some of it because the stones take up more space, but that was one of my favorite projects from last year, is really kind of dramatic transformation of just like a sloping lawn into this, 4-tiered stone serpentine terrace path garden thing. Second one is at my house in Belfast. This lawn used to be one big monolithic stone wall that was torn down and turned back into lawn years ago. And we had extensive renovations. The kitchen and the barn were both collapsing from bad foundations, like a 20-year-old house. So we rebuilt those two parts of the house, but we kept all the stones in the foundation, and I've been making terraces over here and then in the backyard. So I've 5 terraces with those old foundation stones, but I backfilled the very back of them with hula wood to create a flat growing space. So that's combining stone terrace work with Agroforestry, and then I sheet mulched, the areas. I did hardscaping in them too. I wanted to sheet mulch around the sides of them. Basically, sheet mulching is a good way to create paths and edges to keep the grass out of what you're trying to grow. So that's another example, just combining a couple things. The third picture is the next set of terraces right beyond that first shrub in that picture. That picture is the other side of that. You see some even bigger terraces that most of those stones were done with an excavator. The top course of each one was handstone work, and then you see a little chicken coop, and then kitchen garden all next to that. That was just plowed with a rotary plow, and then hand dug little mini swales, doing that serpentine thing again, and sheet mulch in between them. So it's kind of just like terrace, flat stonework combined with swale and sheet mulching to create another growing space. Flowers and stuff on the terraces because it's likely lead contaminated soil, the old barn, the old paint. So no food up there, but food further down. Hot, dry on the terraces, so like perennial flowers that will either annuals that self-seed or perennials that handle the heat, and then crops down below. I got another slide or two of hybrid type systems. Right here is is next to that first one I showed you, that's a swale just down here a little bit, and this is a pool path swale. So a swale, as you saw before, is a trench in the berm. But what I do now with all my swales, because it's no fun to walk in a wet trench. So I used to fill them all with just wood chips, but wood chips are hard to come by, and they rot so quick, and they go away. I finally learned to fill the trench 90% of the way with wood, wood, waste wood that needs to go somewhere. So fill the trench mostly with that, and you top rest that with cardboard and, a 4-inch or so layer of wood chips. So that way the path material doesn't break down quite as fast, still absorbs water, still promotes mushroom growth, and gives you a level path on your swale. So Google swales is kind of my favorite thing to do now. And then what we're going to do after this, or after this, what I'm offering next week. Do this. That next picture is the first garden when we were back to Maine. Just a series of parallel beds inverted facade. This is on contour. It was on an already established garden plot. We used to grow strawberries there, so I was like, I'm kind of retaining the same perimeter and do my thing there. But it was funny. It looks almost on contour, you kind of tell that part of it closest to us is downhill. And throughout the growing season, everything on the downhill side closest to us is twice as big, twice as green, right? The large where the water goes. So it really shows how much contour affects how well they grow. Like every year is incredible. It's just night and day difference. And then the next picture, that's back in Asheville, you can see there's like 6 beds in a row where I'm trying all these different types of bed building techniques. First one was bubble though, which I didn't talk about. I don't like it very much. It's super labor intensive. I don't heard about bubble though. Maybe if you want to hear about it at the end, I can explain it, but it's just a ton of digging, a lot of work. It has its place, I understand why it's a thing, but I didn't like it very much. And then the one after that is a sheet mulch. Then there's a Google, then there's a Google swale, and a different kind of sheet mulch. Then that triangular spiral thing is just kind of inverted sod in a triangle. Then there's a compost pallet bid system, kind of at the halfway mark. And then a mandala garden beyond that. So I was trying all these different things all in one spot to see how they compared and to show people. And that was a community garden too. There was a company up the road that adopted that garden. They were doing garden stuff at their place, not that much space. Became friends with one of them, and they helped me maintain this and kind of passed it off to them when we moved up. So I'm really into this was just a lawn with new next door, owned a storage unit facility. If you mow this lot, you can grow anything you want on it. So I just kept on adding more gardens and mowing less. What I did mow is a bagger mower and capture the grass and mulch things immediately as I mow it. So that's the really way to maintain an edge and mow it, gather the grass, mulch as you go. It'll turn green brown in a couple days because it's nice, really fine, even mulch. So yeah, that's an example of all the different things in one spot, basically minus terraces and stone. Okay, this is the last one. So these are 3 examples of Google swale, fruit forest, and veggie garden kind of combined. This is my favorite way to do all this stuff. Is keyline design based things on or close to contour, doing that serpentine thing, making the water back and forth across the slope. With fruit and nut trees on them, and as they mature, growing the vegetables and herbs and flowers, everything you want in between. So you have this built-in succession going on as the shade increases, those things kind of filter out. But this is the first two. The first one is the backyard of that sheet mulch free community garden. I did that this spring. So that's a few months old. It's already popping pretty good. She's got pears, plums, peaches, apples, blueberries, and herbs, flowers, veggies in between everything. And she keeps it up really good. It's really easy. It's probably just got sweat and water and coffee on it. But if you go check out that little garden, I'm sure she'll bring you out back to show you around. The second one is in Camden for a long-term client. He's really permaculture. Actually got connected with him with a teacher apprentice program. Thank you, I think so. Jesse, remember that? It was like a apprentice program, like people were going to learn permaculture from someone else thing. I got the
Is
numbers
that
in.
fine, I think?
I thought it was things so. I got an email about it from this guy a few years ago, and he's been like my best long-term client, and since then we've totally permafied his whole property. I just made like my 9 little stone wall there, and he's got like 8 swales and 4 big log cabin style raised beds, and he's growing pawpaws and hydroponics. He's going all in. He's a retired doctor, so he's got all the time in the world and money to do it all. But yeah, that's got some maturing, fruit trees. You see some strawberry popping up through the wood chips there. So that's just one of the best places. This last picture was a permaculture we did in Belfast last summer. Again, it's turning like an eroding, hilly spot you didn't want to mow into a new garden. So he did the thing, measured contour, found out where the water was coming in, made it go back and forth, got up swales, filled the trench with wood, and then sheet mulch around everything to keep the grass out. And I haven't been back there yet. But I think she said it's really productive. That's, I guess that's the end of the story. That's how I have to do all this stuff. So thanks for listening. Any questions, comments, concerns?
How do you figure out roughly how far apart to space your swales and how tall to build them? Is it just based on the grade?
Primarily, if it's a steep slope, they probably be closer together, so there's less space between them for water flow. If it's shallower grade, further apart. But oftentimes it's like there's a lot of factors. Sometimes there's existing trees that I want to incorporate the soil into, but okay, the soil has to hit this tree, and so that means I have to start here. But often it's just about having basically even navigation space between them. Depending on what you're going to move to, you might have like a little tractor or a long line tractor or just a wheelbarrow, or you want your truck in there. So it depends on how you want to access everything, how big the vehicle is, how easy it is to turn as a consideration. But primarily the slope. Steep the slope close together, shallow slope more further apart you can go. But a lot of it's preference, like how much space people want to move in between them, what they want to do in between them. Do they want to mow between them, or do they want to sheet almost the whole thing? They want all wood chips to be sheet close together, so like seas of wood chips. Just take forever to get, make it harder to maintain. So yeah, lots of factors, but primarily pitch.
Like how far apart would you say the ones are that are on the left there?
The left, that strip of grass between them is maybe like 4 feet, 3 or 4 feet, so they're pretty close together. Yeah, so that's a steeper. Oh wait, no, that one. That's flat. That's basically flat, actually. It's a very, very wet backyard, like flooded in the spring. So we started that. There was like a little pond she dug in a puddle, and I started the first one right after that, suck the water across, and does the thing where it goes back and forth. But yeah, she doesn't want to mow much, so basically a mower width between them. So that's part of why we're so close. So she doesn't want to mow, wants to soak as much water as possible, and the contours worked out to be pretty parallel. Like I didn't have to fudge too much. Do a little bit of fudging just to make things not awkward and hard to manage. Yeah, it's mostly just minimal mowing, maximal water soaking or conveyance the way you. So yeah, that's kind of a strange case of being very flat, so very close together for those reasons. And it worked out fine. It's like all the plants just get tons of water, but they're not inundated, they're not sitting in water, they're above the water on the firm, but their roots can, access all that water collected right next to them. So, yeah.
What's been your experience planting like trees or woodies in Google? If
Yeah, I have learned over time it's best to plant trees at the base of the pool. For a few reasons, especially like if you plant at the top. When you build a pool, the soil, I learned this hard way too, but if you put all the soil on the top, just keep on putting it on, it flows down, and you end up with thick soil on the bottom, fairly thick soil on the top, and almost no soil on the sides, because it just sloughs off. So the way to do it is to build soil from the bottom up, kind of like the soft rocks. You start at the bottom, and then also sit in the soil that came before it, so you get more even layering. So, but all that being said, trees are best at the bottom, so that they get minimal sinkage, they're hitting less wood, it's just more stable, and all the water nutrients flow down to them too. So, yeah, trees at the bottom. Yeah.
Yes, and I did a Google, and I did not follow that type of instruction, and yes, the soil all went down. It didn't sift down in, so I had some animals that were nesting inside the spaces
Yeah.
in the winter. So how do you get it, so sifting it down by starting at the bottom and having it shake down?
Yeah, there's a way to help it be a uniform depth and be basically like every layer wants to be kind of a tight membrane with one material, so there's less air gaps and spaces for things to get mixed and for animals to get into. Animals do get into all of these stuff, like no matter how tight you build it, animals are gonna get in, and that's just, they're gonna get your soil too, they're gonna get your regular garden. It's like,
I now do a cover crop on it for a season.
yeah.
If I do it in the summer, I'll do a cover crop for the fall, and then I'll plant it next year so that it's got a good hold together.
Yeah, it's a good strategy. I don't do a whole lot of cover cropping. I prefer just compost and mulch as covering layers. But cover crops work great, and especially if you want like a continual cover crop, you rip a hole in it and stick a plant in. Yeah, it works. But yeah, that's something to emphasize with cultures. I don't know if I said much about, but just like every layer being tightly fitted together, all the stones, just kind of like a puzzle, but not stones, they're like stones. All the wood fitted closely together, and kind of walk on it, and kind of like get rid of as many air pockets as you can. You don't want to compact it like with an excavator and crunch it down, because that would make it too compact, go anaerobic and smell and not drain out of the road. But the one you lightly compact, like you walk on things and crunch them down, and time will do that too. They definitely sink. You want some air a little bit, not too much.
So don't drive the tractor.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Do you ever, was that an answer more to the question? Yeah.
I'm just wondering, some of the open space I have to work with is taken up by a leach field, or at least that's up at the top of the slope. So I'm just wondering how practical or safe it would be to put in fuels there,
On the leach field?
or even how far out I would have to go.
Yeah, that's tricky. I usually recommend not doing things on leach fields just because eventually they'll have to be ripped up and replaced. So definitely don't want to plant trees on leach fields, they'll clog them up. But probably the best bet would be like those metal horse trunk raised beds, because it'll be good for a long time. Especially if you rule them, fill it 80% away with wood, compost, mulch, and soil. Because if and when they need to rid up your leach field, you can just scoop that out and move the raised bed, and you go to save your garden. You're not going to have to rip it out. That'd be my guess. Some kind of modular raised bed, or sheet mulch. Like if unattended, sheet mulch will go back to nature in a few years. But the other thing about that though, they need an air transfer in a leach field. So adding layers of cardboard and stuff might actually affect that. So I'd probably take that back. Modular raised beds is probably the way to go. Yeah. Anybody else? Anyone want to know about got this stuff for